Okay. Around Lamed Hey, right? Probably Lamed Hey Amid Aleph. We have the wrong one. You have a Gittin. Okay. So we're going to start today. It's in the middle of the page by Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Yirmiyah Barabba. The line starts Asya Leiriya Teira. It's at least a third of the way down, almost half of the way down. On 35A.
Is that before or after Rav Yehuda saying to Rav Yirmiyah?
That's it. That's it. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav Yirmiyah Barabba. Okay, we thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. Okay, so it starts like this. I'm Rav Yehuda, I'm Rav Yirmiyah Barabba. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav Yirmiyah Barabba, which is the older Rav Yirmiyah. Says Rav and Shmuel Damri Tavayu. Rav and Shmuel both say that what we mentioned in the Mishnah, that when a woman wants to collect her ksuba, we had a problem with the woman collecting her ksuba. The problem is that we don't trust that she didn't collect it yet. I think that maybe she already collected and she's coming to collect again. How is she collecting again? The husband would know. Well, we're talking about a widow. So she's only collecting the ksuba because the husband died. We think that maybe the husband has already given her some of the ksuba money while they were married. And now the husband passed away, and now she wants to go and collect from the orphans the whole thing. So in order to collect from the orphans, you have to make an oath that you haven't received anything yet. The problem with taking an oath is that an oath was very strict, and some negative things came about. We learned yesterday when someone took an oath, even though they thought it was true, it really wasn't. The child passed away. It was scary to take an oath, so they didn't want them to take an oath.
This is like regarding inheritance, right? So does the inheritance go? Does it automatically go like after or like double portion before and then it goes to the children, or does like any say also?
No, the wife doesn't really get the inheritance. So the wife just gets the ksuba. The children get the inheritance. The problem here is that she wants to collect the ksuba, but she can't because the husband's not there. She has to collect from the heirs. To collect from the heirs, you have to take an oath, and the oath is problematic. So the ksuba, because we think that maybe the husband has already given her. The ksuba could have been paid up even before. She could sell her ksuba. She could start collecting the ksuba. Like insurances.
It's like a bond or
something. So we think that maybe she had already started taking some of the ksuba, and dipping into the ksuba before. Anyway, we don't want her to take an oath, so we have another solution. The other solution is that she takes a vow that if she collected anything, she won't eat this such and such a fruit. She won't eat such and such a thing. And what the Bezdin makes up, like what they think would be a significant vow, and that they're willing to let it take, not an oath, but the vow they're willing to let it take. Vow is that she's not going to eat something, and if that's the case, she's not going to eat something if she had already collected part of the ksuba, and they trust that to give her the ksuba. Anyway, Rabbi Yehuda says the name of Yirmiyah Barabba that Rab and Shmuel Damri Tavai Leishanu Ala B'Bezdin. That concern of taking an oath was only in court. But outside of court, Mashpi and I said over there they would let her take an oath. What happens? What's the difference in court or out of court? Rashi says that in court they take the oath is with the Sefer Torah or with tefillin, and they swear with Hashem's name. It's very serious. Outside of court, it's just a prohibition, but it's not. It doesn't have the same severity. Even by us, we say that. It's to swear in court, in court under oath, it's like much more serious than someone swearing to you on the street than he did, right? Yeah. 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 Well, in court, it's called the Shvua Min HaTorah, and outside of court, it's called the Shvua Derabanan. It's without a Sefer Torah. Anyway, so when we would let them take an oath out of court. Eini, Gemara says, is that really so? Rav never let a widow take a ksuba. Yeah, this the whole institution of ksuba. For a widow, Rav would never let them take because he didn't know if it was paid up yet, unless the person said before he died that he didn't pay her. Otherwise, we think that maybe she had collected some of the ksuba, but didn't know how much to take. And now you're telling me that according to Rav and according to Shmuel, they could take an oath out of court. Let them take an oath out of court, and then we can collect the ksuba, give them some money. Gemara says, Kasha. It's a good question. Gemara then says that Besura Masnahachi. That's how this was taught in Surah. Now, Surah is the place where Rav lived. And Benardai Masnahachi, but in Nardai, in the place where Shmuel lived, because remember it was Rav and Shmuel that both taught this, in Nardai Masnahachi, they taught it slightly different. Instead of Rabbi Yehuda saying in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, it was Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. In Nardai, they taught this halach in the name of Shmuel, and it goes like this: Leishanu ala bebezdin. When did we say that we have a concern of her taking an oath and the negative things coming out because of that? That was only in court. But outside of court, they let her take an oath. Same thing like they learned in Surah. That's what they taught in Nardai, except with a different name. It was Shmuel instead of Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba was a Talmud of Rav. Rav Amar, and Rav argues according to the view in Nardai, and he says, "Afilu chutz lebeznami mashpia." In Nardai, they taught that Rav, it wasn't in Nardai, it was in Surah, that Rav would actually allow them to take an oath outside of court. Rav l'tamei, Rav would follow. How do we say that? Rav l'tamei, the Rav le'magbik subalar malta. I'm sorry, Rav would not allow even out of court. Shmuel would allow out of court. Rav would not allow out of court. And now this fits exactly with what the halacha that Rav paskin, where Rav would not collect the ksuba at all, because he wouldn't allow even out of court. That's fine, because if you can't take an oath, you can't collect. The Gemara says, why wouldn't Rav collect? We have in our Mishnah the solution. It says that she would take a neder that she wouldn't have benefit from something if she collected. So it didn't have the same severity as the oath, but it was enough of a proof for us that she didn't collect anything yet. Why can't we do that? The Gemara says, B'shani de Rav kili nidre. In the days of Rav, the Darim were very lenient, and we didn't trust the Darim. Hahi the Asi Lakame de Rav Huna was a woman that came in front of Rav Huna. She wants to get a ksuba. Probably the husband passed away. She wants a ksuba. Amar la, Rav Huna said, "My yavidlah. What do you want me to do for you? What can I do for you?" The Rav Huna is a Talmud of Rav. The Rav le magbi ksuba lar malta. Rav wouldn't collect the ksuba for a widow. I'm sorry. I know you deserve it, but I can't collect it. Rav, my teacher, wouldn't collect the ksuba. Amalei, so she said, Midu Taima. What's the reason why you wouldn't collect the ksuba? It could be that she had already collected something from the ksuba. I swear by Hashem tzvakis, that I did not collect anything from the ksuba. Amar Rav Huna says, Rav does agree that if a woman jumps and takes an oath, that we do trust it. We didn't want to administer the oath because of the what could come out from that. But if a woman actually jumps ahead and takes the oath without being instructed to, So we trust the oath, that's for sure. So therefore she could collect the ksuba.
Oftentimes, I guess these days, the ksuba is actually sold for
Could be.
some cash or something.
It could be the
yeah.
ksuba was sold, yeah.
But you didn't necessarily have to have it. Like nowadays, if someone doesn't have ksuba, it's like, okay, are you married even?
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, was there any like machloket or doubt?
Officially, they're not supposed to live together without a ksuba.
Right.
But
So
I think,
if it was commonplace to sell the ksuba,
but I think they could sell part of it. And I
Oh,
think they would leave a little bit. I think that's the explanation. Yeah. Yeah. Also, those days, the ksuba wasn't always standard. Yeah. The ksuba wasn't always standard. I mean, there was some standard parts to it, but they could have added in more. You know, someone has like a very big ksuba, so someone could actually buy part of it and say, "Look, I'll give you money that if the husband dies, the husband divorces you, that I'm gonna get the ksuba." I don't remember that.
I'm sure it's happened here. It has that the name holds that she would be taken to court, so she would do the home in court. And that'll be done. So she basically, when she does the deed.
Wait. We're gonna get to that later. That's a Gemara later.
This question may have already been asked. I had trouble hearing, but I'm struck by the fact that in other areas, for example, in Moldova, there's simply an assumption that no one pays a debt before it's owed.
Right.
But here we have a case where somebody is paying something off for it's a debt even. Is this some?
Right.
This is, you think this was commonplace, or is this a far-fetched example that the Gemara is bringing down to make the point?
I don't know. It's a good question. You had the same question. Taisvis asks your question on Lamedalet Amid Beis. Taisvis Ein Almana Nefras Mitzvah Simul B'Shpua. Taisvis says from Taimar Chazak Ein Adam Priyatech Zmanik. Taisvis answers that that's specifically by a debt.
Which Tosos is that? How does it begin?
It's Ein Almana Nefras. It's on the bottom of Lamedalet Amid Beis.
Lamed Beis.
Taisus says that that's only by a debt, but when it comes to something that the Beis Din has imposed on someone, sometimes they like to get rid of it early. So he may have given her like a bar of gold or something and said, "This will be your ksuba."
Yeah.
So
I could see somebody saying, "You're my kid's stepmother. They not like you, so I want to avoid you having a problem. So I'm going to pay you off now."
Right. The Rambam, they quote in this Gemara that the Rambam has another view that it could be the widow has forgiven her husband from ever paying her the ksuba. And one of the part of the oath is that she never forgave the husband the money of the ksuba. That's the Rambam. Okay. The Asi Lekame, the Rabba Baravuna. There was a woman that came in front of Rabba Baravuna. Amar La, he said to her, "My Abdullah, what do you want me to do for you?" the Rav, like my the Rav wouldn't collect the ksuba for an almana. Abba Mari, like my my father would not collect the ksuba either. Who's his father? Rav Huna. Rav Huna wouldn't collect because Rav wouldn't. Rabba bar Rav Huna wouldn't collect because Rav Huna and Rav wouldn't. So Amrulay, she said to Rabba bar Rav Huna, she said, okay, I hear what you're saying, but Havli Mazaini, let me go and take this food from the property because I can get nourishment. I can get my sustenance from the property. If I don't collect the ksuba, they still have to pay me for my daily needs. So she said, so Rav Huna responds, Amallah, Mazaini nami laslach, sorry, you lost the sustenance as well. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Rav Yehuda says, name of Shmuel, Ativask Subas Bebez, the name Lamazainas. Once a woman demands her ksuba, she's out. Once you start the case, she wants the ksuba, she can't live off the estate anymore. That's a sign like she's already getting married. If she wants to live on the estate, then don't ask for your ksuba. Once you ask for the ksuba in court, then that means that you have someone else in mind, and you're on your way out. You're planning to leave. Okay, so finish. No more living off the estate.
She could
So
be divorced and still live off the estate without
Well,
asking for
no, when she's divorced, then she's out. But when
Okay.
she's a widow, she could theoretically like not demand the ksuba and just live off the estate
man ksuba from a deceased person.
and ksuba from the inheritance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the Gemara now says Amrulay, so she gets upset. Amrulay, she says to Rabbi Baravuna, Afchul Karse, let his chair be turned over. She like curses him. Kebei Trey Abdali, you're poskening like two opinions here. On one hand, you're telling me that I can't get the ksuba because you don't trust that maybe I took it already. On the other hand, you're telling me that I asked for the ksuba and now I can't get this nourishment. You're going like Rav, you're going like Shmuel. So Hafchul Karsi v'Tertzua. Rabbi Baravuna hearing this, he doesn't want to get the oath. So he quickly turns over his own chair and stands up. So she said his chair should be turned over. So he quickly turns over the chair to make it like he shouldn't get hurt. It happened already, basically. Whatever she cursed him happened already. Afilo Hachi, the Gemara concludes that Leit Yifrik Micholsha, he still wasn't saved from getting the curse from the becoming weak. Became weak after that. Amalei Rav Yehuda, the Rav Yirmiyah Bira. Rav Yehuda tells to Rav Yirmiyah Bira. We had Rav Yirmiyah Bira before. We had his son-in-law. I think we have it done up here yesterday. Maybe not. Maybe I remember it from this Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda says to Miriam Bibra, Adra bebezdin, Vashav chutz lebezdin, Balesi kala, Balipal bodne, the Bina Kech David Maisa. Rabbi Yehuda says that what you should do is, this is what Hillel was telling me from Rabbeinu Chanana. Where did we have Yirmiyah Bira? Yeah. Okay, so said like this, that I want you to if a woman comes to you to collecting tzuba, I want her to take a vow in the Besdin. I want her to take an oath outside of Besdin. That was one of the views, that an oath outside of Besdin could work, and a vow in Besdin could work. And I also want to hear a report that that's what you're doing. I want to make sure that the women get their tzuba and that you don't get any strict opinions over here. You should take the lenient views that allow the oath outside of court, that allow the vow in court, and you should make sure they get their money. Gufa. We learned before, we're going to go back to examine something that we learned before. Amar Abzeira, Amar Shmuel, Leishanu al Almana, Aval Grusha Mashpianaisa. This was only taught by regarding an almana. That's interesting. This Gufa. I don't remember seeing this before. Did we learn this yesterday? I don't remember this. Reb Zera in the name of Shmuel. Usually something like this, but instead of Gufa would be Itmar. When the Gemara introduces a statement of Amirayim, it's called the Memra. And it introduces a Memra, it says Itmar. It was stated. And then it tells us the statement. Over here, Gufa is used when we said something in passing, but we didn't get a chance to explain it because it was just in passing. And then we go back to explain what we mentioned. We use the term Gufa. No, that's not. That's not how it does it usually. Okay. Reb Zera says in the name of Shmuel that this was only taught by a widow. Aval Gerusha Mashpia Naisa. But if there's a divorcee over there, you can have her make an oath. Oh, I get why. We did learn this before. We did. It was correct. We learned this yesterday. What happened was yesterday we said, why are you only being strict on the widow not to take the oath? What about by a divorcee? Maybe she also was already paid up. And we answered that the widow maybe was going to have a lenient thought in her mind where she has been taking care of the children from the deceased husband. She's been taking care. And any money that she has received from the estate, she's going to think that that was part of the payment for the care that she's been doing for the family. So she's going to say, have you received anything from the ksuba? She's going to say, no, all of that was a payment for the care. But if she was a divorcee, then she wouldn't have been taking care of the children of the estate because the husband just kicked her out of the estate. Right. So she had her own children from a previous marriage, then fine. But the children from the husband, she wouldn't have been taken care of. So when they asked her, did you collect anything from the ksuba? And it's either a yes or no answer. And we don't assume that maybe she's going to be Moira Heter. She's going to come up with an excuse that even though she received money, but it was going for something else to pay up something. We don't assume that. So by the Grusha, we let her make an oath. It was only by the widow, by the divorcee, we let her make the oath. By the widow, we don't let her make oath because we think that maybe she has received money, but she's assuming that that money was meant for other work that she's been doing for the family, for taking care of the children, for babysitting. So, Abul Grusha Mashpia Naisa. You make her make an oath. Grusha Da'adralai, the Gemara asks, what about if you have her take a vow? She could vow that if she had received anything from the ksuba, she's never going to eat whatever again, never going to eat bread. Pretty serious vow. And so obviously she didn't collect. That should be good enough. But we even have a proof. They sent from over there. Sounds like from Eretz Yisrael. So-and-so received her get from Achabaradiyah, the Miskri Ayamari, it's called Ayamari, Binadras Viceres Perish Shabailamala, Likabilas Muksabasa. And she took a vow that she did not receive, she took a vow that she won't eat fruit if she received her ksuba. And she took a vow that the only thing from her ksuba she received was Ella Gulufkara Echad, one coat, Sefer Tilim Echad, one book of Tilim, Sefer Eiv Mem Shalai Speluin, and a book of Eiv and a book of Mishlei that were worn out. That's what she got in her for her ksuba. She got 3 svarim and she got a coat. The Shamnum, and they evaluated the coat and the 3 svarim, b'chamisha mana, that it was only worth b'chamisha mana, for 5, that was worth 5 mana. And when this woman comes to you, you should collect the rest of it, because we know that she only has 5 mana. 5 mana is 500 zuz. Ksuba seems like it's 500 dinar. Right. A dinar and a zuz is the same thing. Ksuba is usually only 200. This must have been an elaborate. They must have added to the ksuba. Amar Rav Ashi. So you see, the question is that how did she get to collect? This was from a neder that she took, that she's not going to eat fruit if she collected anything more than this. Amar Rav Ashi, who gets Yivam and Have? That was a different story. That was actually a widow. Why is she a grusha? So she got a get. The story went like this: her husband passed away. Instead of getting anything from that estate, a brother of the husband decides that he's going to give her a get. Now, well, the husband passed away. The brother is supposed to do yibam or chalitza, not give a get. But if he does give a get, he messes up the yibam and chalitza, and then can't do yibam, and she has to do a chalitza. So he messes up the yibam. So here, what we're talking about is that she's supposed to get the ksuba now from her original husband. So she still is really an almana. The only thing is that this get, we said that there was a get there. That's not because she was a divorcee. That was a get that messed up the yibam. That was a get from one of the brothers. Talked about a get. That was just to throw you. That just throws you off. It was really getting the ksuba as a widow from the first husband.
The children really inherit part or some of the ksuba. I thought it was just
Women, the children inherit the whole estate,
right.
And then from the estate they have to pay up the debts that were. One of those is that if there was a wife or multiple wives, they have to pay them all up for the ksuba. Yeah, that's the estate.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there could have been other debts. There could have been people that they owed money to. Could have been damages that other bills. Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel Azakin Shetene Deres. Rabbi Gamliel Azakin instituted that instead of taking the oath, that she would take a vow. And that vow would say that I'm not going to eat fruits if I accepted anything from the ksuba, and then we trusted her that she didn't accept anything, and then they could collect without the oath. Amar Rav Huna says, Leishanu ela b'shlei nisas. When do we allow her to take a vow? That's only if she wasn't married, remarried. She didn't marry someone else. Aval nisas. But if she was married already and now she's going to collect the ksuba from her deceased husband, Ein Madirin, I said we don't let her take a vow. Can you guess why? Because the husband will annul the vow. The new husband can annul the vow. So her vow is nothing. No, she can get remarried, but that just means that if you want to use a vow on a married woman to prove anything, that she's not going to eat, that she takes a vow that she's not going to eat fruits anymore. So she comes home, and she says, I took a vow in court, they're going to give me the ksuba, I took a vow that I'm not going to eat fruits anymore. The husband says, hey, mafalach, go take some mangoes from the counter. Yeah, fine. So the whole thing, the whole Oh, so 1 second. The Gemara is going to ask that. Very good. The Gemara says, "This is my time. What's the reason why, if she's married, we don't trust her to take a vow? The meifel abal, because the husband will be meifel, will say mufalach, and it's just gonna. We think that we have her, that it's so honest what she's saying, that she's never going to be able to beat fruit again, and that's why. And she would say, if she had accepted anything from the ksuba, could be that she did accept, and the husband's just going to annul it." But Gemara says, but kilei nisas nami. But if she wasn't married as well, the same thing would apply. She's not. She doesn't have to worry. She says, yeah, if I accepted anything from the ksuba, I'm not going to eat fruits again. And she knows that she's about to get married to someone, And when she gets married, then the husband will annul the vow and she'll eat fruits, all the fruits she wants.
Didn't we learn in Darn that there's a difference if the woman makes a neder before or after she gets
Very
married?
good, very good. My answer is Ein Abal Mefer B'Kaidman. Very good. Jonathan got it. The husband cannot annul vows that were made before the marriage, only after the marriage. That's the Gemara's answer. Very good. Someone was listening in the Darim. It's a few Masechtas ago. Okay, the Gemara says, "V'neicher still ma'asel legabi chacham v'sharila." All of this is because she can annul the vow, and then what's the big deal about a vow? You just annul it. So if that's the case, then she can go to a chacham also and annul it. She go to a sage. We're holding now. The reason why we accept this is because if she would, in other words, even a non-married woman could go to a sage and annul the vow. When you go to the sage and you annul the vow, you have to say not just the vow that you took, you have to say the reason why you took it. So when you're going to start to say, I took a vow because they wanted me to prove that I didn't collect anything from the ksuba, so they made me take a vow that I'm not going to eat fruits if I did. Now, can you please annul it for me? The sage is going to say, no way. No way, I can't annul a vow like that. You took a vow in court to prove that they owe you money, and you're not going to eat fruits if they paid you. Now you want me to annul that? Basically you're lying. So the sage would never annul it. So tzarich lefarda as another means that you have to say the reason of how that came about, the background to the neder.
Why is it such an assumption that Almana is dishonest?
Well, the Gemara's assumption was that she's been receiving a lot of help from the estate, but all of that help she thinks was because of other things that she was doing. And it wasn't really the ksuba. That wasn't part of the ksuba. Yeah, she's going to say, she's going to think, look, they had to give me that because I was taking the kids to the park. So the reason why they gave me that lunch and the reason why they gave me that was because I was, that was money for because I spent so much time taking care of the diapers, changing the diapers.
So you just say, no, that's part of it too.
I know, but once you get into that, once this gets so complex, so then we don't trust her with an oath. Not we don't trust her. We don't want her to make an oath because she may end up giving excuses about why the oath was correct, even though it really wasn't. Yeah. They say that the families of the Kayanim that were working with the Ketairas the girls were not allowed to wear perfume. Remember this, Kamara? I think it was in Yuma. They weren't allowed to wear perfume because even though it could be that there was some, pieces of the incense that were just going to be swept away as waste, and let him take it home. He works there, like someone works in the bakery, he takes all the bread and the pastries, or he works in the butcher shop. It was waste anyway. It's scraps. He knows what's going to go in the garbage and what's not. He can take that. But they didn't want anyone to think that maybe he was taking what he shouldn't have, and so they weren't allowed to wear perfume.
Could it be that she's like betrothed to someone?
If they're only betrothed, so then he can't annul it. He can only annul once they're married. It was only a young girl that together with her father, they can annul the father and the husband could have been annulled together. That was only by a young girl.
He wouldn't be able to annul it and have no other words of betrothal.
I'm not sure if the betrothed, you remember? I think it was only after the marriage. It says, yeah, Ina Baal Mefer B'Kaidman. I think only after the Nisuin Kedushin is the betrothal. Only a Kedushin and Erison are the same. The Nesuin is the marriage. Okay. Well, the Gemara answers this. Rav Nachman Amar. 1 second. The Gemara answered that we're talking about that the Chacham has to know the background to the neder, and therefore he's not going to annul it. Rav Nachman Amar Afilu Nissus, that even if she gets married, she's still allowed to take a vow and to collect the ksuba. The Gemara says, Nissus Vadai Meifir Labal, the husband will annul the vow. The husband will annul the vow. What good is a vow where the husband will just step in and say, I don't want you to do that? The Medir Labarabim. What happens is she takes a type of vow that the husband can't annul because it was a vow that was taken in public. We're following the opinion now that a vow that was taken in public can never be annulled. Meisvei, the Gemara is a question. If she gets married, she can collect her ksuba if she takes a vow. My love, nadra hashta, means she's taking a vow even now, after the marriage. How could she take a vow now? The husband will annul it. Gemara says, like the nadra mikara. We're not talking about that. We're talking about where she took the vow beforehand. That's going to be good. She can still collect if before the marriage she vowed. Why? The husband can't annul the vows that she took beforehand, like the Gemara said before. V'atanya, but we have a brisa. Nisis, that if she gets married, it says clearly that she's taking the vow after the marriage. The husband couldn't annul it. Gemara says Tanaihi. This is a machlekes Tanaim. Diklamanda Amar. It's one opinion that holds neder shudda barabim yesh le'afara, that even a vow that's taken in public could be annulled, and therefore that's the view that says that once she's married, forget it. You can't make her take an oath. You can't make her take a vow. Iklamanda Amar ein le'afara. There's an opinion that says that a vow that's taken in public cannot be annulled. Oh, it can't be annulled by the husband. So then you can take the vow, such a vow, even after she's married, and then collect the ksuba, because that such a vow will last. You have a question. When a person comes to annul the vow, do they have to say the background to the neder, why they took it, or not? Rav Nachman Amar Einet Tzarech. Rav Nachman says that they don't need to. Rav Papa Amar Tzarech. Rav Papa says that they do need to give the background to the neder. Rav Nachman Amar Einet Tzarech. Nachman says that they don't need to. Di Amar Tzarech, because if you would say that they do need to say the background, Zim did the guy's leila diburi, v'chacham aydasham mefer. Maybe the chacham is going to be mefer, is going to annul the vow that he understood. 1 second, let me see how they. Yeah. What's going to happen is Gaya's Leila Diburi. Maybe she's going to chop a little bit off from the actual details of the vow. The Chacham is going to annul whatever he heard, but the actual neder, he won't really annul because she didn't give him all the details. She's going to think that the Chacham annulled the vow. Really, the Chacham annulled only the part that she told him. So it's better not to say anything and just no background, and in that way, the Chacham annuls without thinking that it was only partially. Rav Papa says tzarech, that you do have to mishum milsa di surah. Sometimes a person takes a vow that he was trying to avoid doing an aveira. If you don't give the background to it, then the Chacham is going to be materit, and the person's going to end up doing the aveira. I vow I'm never going to such and such a place. Over there was thing he could fall, he could stumble in such a place. He's going to do something wrong. So the Chacham doesn't know the background. He's going to be materit. That's not correct. So therefore, the Chacham should be told everything that goes on. So there's a machlekes here, Rav Papa and Rav. There's a huge generation gap, Rav Papa and Rav Nachman, unless it's Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. We had an interesting Tosfos, Rashi and Tosfos before, early in this Masechta. Whenever it says Rav Nachman, it's Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak or Rav Nachman bar Yaakov.
Wasn't it like the discussion
Where was that
between both of
Tosfos? Here it is. Yeah, and Daf Lamed Aleph, Lamed Beis, we had a discussion when it says Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman is a Talmud of Rav, Talmud of Shmuel. Rav bar Yitzchak is in the time of, I think, Abaye and Rava. Rav Papa is a student of Rava. So, this could be Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Basically, Rashi's view is that whenever it says Rav Nachman, and it doesn't say, when it ever says Rav Nachman Stam, it's really Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. And Tosfos' view is whenever it says Rav Nachman Stam, it's Rav Nachman bar Yaakov. The first one. Because when it doesn't give us the last name, who is it? Yeah, okay. So we have a machlekes Rav Nachman and Rav Papa. When someone goes to the Chacham, if they have to tell the Chacham the background to why they took the vow. Tanan, I'm sorry, Hillel, you want to ask something?
I was asking in that page, they were discussing both Rav Nachman.
Yeah. Tanan, it was started in the Mishnah. Naisi nashim ba'aveira. If a man marries women that he wasn't allowed to marry, let's say he's a Kayan, and he married a divorcee. Now he wants to get the Kayan aliyah. So the rule is that pasal achiyida hana. He's pasal to do the avodah until he makes a vow that he's going to divorce her. He's never going to have any benefit from her. Yeah? So take this vow. V'tani Allah, and it was taught on this, Noider v'oived. If he takes the vow and he does the avodah, even though he didn't divorce her, Yored goes out from the avodah and he divorces her. Sounds like it's acceptable. Once he takes the vow. Now, if the rule is that you don't have to say the background to why you took a vow, it's going to be a kasha on Rav Nachman. Maybe she's going to go to a chacham, and he's going to go to a chacham, and the chacham is going to annul the vow that he took, that he's going to not have any benefit from this woman, which means basically he's going to divorce her. He's just going to say, he's not going to give the back. He's going to say, I regret that I took this vow, that I'm not going to have a benefit from this woman. The chacham is not going to know that it's because he wants to do the avodah, he's a kayan, and he wasn't allowed to marry her. When he answers, they don't just do a regular neder. They do a neder in public. The madrin and labarabim, which can't be annulled, they do a public neder. The Gemara says, well, that works well according to the opinion that says a neder that's taken in public, you can't annul. But according to the opinion that says a neder that's taken in public, you can annul. What are you going to say now? My answer is the madrin al das rabim. Even according to that opinion, that if the public hears the neder, it can still be annulled. But if he takes the neder with the intention of the public, in other words, whatever the public thinks, so then that cannot be annulled. You see, when it means al das rabim, I think we would do this in the court. Someone would come in to the court. Where was the Gemara we had with the stick? They brought him in. They said, promise that you paid this person back. He claimed that he paid the person back. So he put the money in the stick. He says, okay, so just hold my cane while.
How you mislead someone?
Yeah. So we say that we want you to take a vow, not with any of your formulations of what you're going to come up with of what the words of the vow mean. We want you to take a vow based on what we think all of this means. So al datenu, it has to be on a. So when you take a vow al das rabim, it's like you're taking a vow with the intention of what the community believes the vow means. And such a vow cannot be annulled. It doesn't have to do with the meaning. It has to do with the way we intend, as the way you're taking a vow with our intention. Such a vow cannot be annulled.
That's
Damar
worse-
Meimar.
that's worse than the lady who put the gold by accident in the
But yeah,
ground and the sun died
right.
on the shore.
right.
They get really,
That Gemara was talking about maybe when he takes the vow, he has his own translation of what the words of the vow mean. He says, "Oh, when I said don't, I really meant did in my language. I have my own language."
In that case, like she wholeheartedly thought that she didn't
Right,
get any.
right, right. Nevertheless, that's why we're very strict about taking oath. That's why we in court, I think we say we affirm instead of we swear, right? Right. So we try to avoid it.
they still have a Bible. Like the
Oh, yeah.
Sefer Torah. I guess that's what
They use a Bible in court when someone has to take an oath.
I don't think anymore, but before they go into conflict.
You still
Make
see
it for your
people
hand.
who go into office, they put their one hand on the Bible. And then accept.
Oh, really?
And that was done before in court. but I haven't seen it.
Go into office means they go into
Like,
like a president or something.
Presidency.
Uh-huh.
The Constitution of the country allows the president to affirm rather than take an oath.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, one president chose to do that.
To affirm.
The president can choose to affirm rather than take an oath.
Which president did that?
I think it was Franklin Pierce.
Can the president just lie because he's an idiot?
Excuse me.
Never mind.
Okay. So Damar Meimer Hilsa Filaman Damar Neder Shudabram Yeshla Far Al Dasrab Mainly Afara. Meimer says that even according to the opinion that says if it's a neder in public, you can annul it, but if it's Al Dasrabim with the intention of the public, that you can annul. That's only for if it's a mundane matter that we don't need to annul it. But if it's Aval Mitzvah Yeshla Fara, but you can annul it if it's for a mitzvah. There was this teacher, school teacher. She's teacher of children. He would hit the children too much. And so they made him take a vow that he's not going to teach anymore. And it was a vow on the public, but nevertheless, they let him go back because they couldn't find a teacher that could teach as good as him. So yeah, classic story. Okay, so Simon B'Tayv. Okay, have a good day, everyone.